Now, I know maybe you thought that tonight was the night that I wasn't going to come on the air, and especially my last 18 hours or so. Maybe that was the fate of Sportswire Radio. But in the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about on that road to Friday's inaugural Money Mark Media Show, because I have no doubt we're going to certainly leave quite a mark with the man himself, who's going to talk about, oh, don't you worry. I've got the ticket link for you. I got posters. I even got a breaking video from one of our usuals about what's ahead Friday. Oh, we're getting all into it. We're going to talk about Day Jamison. We're going to talk about that man you just saw in that photo. We're going to talk about an Indie Vision Championship match now. We're going to talk about probably some other things that are going to be announced, some more Indie Vision podcast, and I am sure plenty of what you expect on Sportswire Radio, because after all, we are in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that our guest, the Indie Vision podcast, Money Mark Media, Express and Excel Wrestling most certainly helped build Sportswire Radio to the tune of over 1,500 subscribers. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Even those young kids that thought they could get away with trying to mug me this morning, trying to call me Wolverine, trying to harass me, trying to follow me, they couldn't stop it. We're going to do this because I got your support. I got this man's support. I got the community support. And there will come hell or high water. Will I ever stand down? Because I am ready for it, in the famous words of Def Leppard frontman Joe Elliott. Let's get rocked, baby. And you thought maybe we couldn't top our summer trio of blockbuster shows, especially after last night's guest, D'Angelo LaFlame, who fired plenty of shots. Trust me, this man will have plenty of money, and he'll fully be on the mark. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're waiting for it. He's waiting for it. He had to wait 22 minutes. I'm going to make you wait no longer. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So, with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. A man that has done it all as a wrestler, referee, promoter, and the man now behind Money Mark Media, one of the co-hosts of the Indie Vision podcast, and a man that is about to make history this Friday in conjunction with Express and Excel Wrestling. His name is, simply put,
Thank you very much, Mr. Bryce, for having me once again on your show.
Oh, you doing?
Showing off that amazing lung capacity you got. I'm absolutely.
You know what? I think
it's
been tested the last. Let me tell you, it's been tested the last 18 hours. It's been tested, throughout this day. But last night we did one for 7 minutes, and I didn't think I could do it today. But you know what? Like I said, they can try to mug me. They can try to harass me. They can try to come after me. There's no way, though, you are going to stop me from being here on this platform. And you, sir, because we are going to make history this Friday, and there's no better place that I want to be with you right now in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and it is so good to see you here once again.
It is very great to be here once again. I'm still waiting for the intro you do where you pass out from lack of oxygen from just going hard. You send it on there, man. You go hard.
I tell you what. I know that is the way that people would like to see me go. And, obviously I just saw the ballerina movie and, people were talking about that.
No. Don't get me wrong. I want you to wake up. I'm just saying.
I'm okay with it. I will tell you what. I'm okay with that's the way I'm going to go. If the good Lord upstairs, that's the way he wants me to go out, I'm good with it. I'm good because I'm here with the people. You, the person that helped build this platform, and the rest, everybody in this chat, I am more than happy with that. We'll have to see. It's not tonight, though, but Timothy Titan, boy, do we have so much to talk about here. And I want to talk about something here because we have a breaking video here that you share with me, which has not been seen by anybody yet. And I'm going to play it shortly, but before we do that, set the tables for us in this video, because for those that are listening and watching in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and the platform that you most certainly helped build, Sportswire Radio, talk about this video because it's going to involve certainly somebody we know very, very well who's got a big match with a man that says no souls matter.
And I happen to know that man is in the chat right now because I can see it. That man is Godric Sandwell. Now, I received a video from Godric Sandwell where I don't think that I've ever seen him as, I don't want to say motivated as much as just focused. He just seems so focused on what's about to come. He's not, I don't think he's going to come in there as the quote unquote normal gentleman he is. I think that he is focused on a fight and is going to bring it to the Soul Taker come Friday.
So do you think then, since you and I were talking about this, and that's one of the reasons we're partially behind, because it took me what felt like a year to put this together, something that takes a matter of seconds, do you think, with your permission, sir, that I could play this video and maybe let the gentleman of exquisite caliber explain himself here in this video that you've wanted me to share?
I would love nothing more than Zilla and the rest of the Sportswire fans to be the first people to see this video.
I knew that's why I love having you here each and every month, and your wish is my command proudly, and I'm going to put it up here right now. So we're going to play this video from the very beginning, and I'm going to put it up here. So for those that are listening and watching in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, this is none other world premiere video from the gentleman of exquisite caliber, Godric Sandwell, in regards to his match this Friday against the Soul Taker.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, to call my Saturday evening interesting would be an egregious understatement. I didn't land in a new promotion to try out. I didn't even see too many old friends like I would hope for. But for some reason, everything in my body was telling me to go to Contrell Funeral Home. Now, I didn't really understand why at first until I went there. And some of the horrors that I had seen when I was there, just take a gentleman's word. Don't ever go there if you don't have to. But in that spirit, I had some cherubim and seraphim waiting for me as well. Now, they had an interesting little anecdote to tell me, which I will share with you right now. So please, come with me. Because what they had told me is that there was an employee there in the 70s who apparently did some more, shall we say, nefarious deeds that I will not speak of on here. Now that said employee has decided to return as the Soul Taker, who likes to make the claim that souls don't matter. Well, I strenuously disagree with this, even being the more nobler of the souls around. Because this Friday, it is you, it is me, Soul Taker. When we face off at 2125 Beacon Street, I will be the one to avenge the victims of what had happened. I will be the one to send you back for your judgment. But I'm not going to be doing it alone, because they also, the cherubim and the seraphim exactly, decided to bless me with a brand new jacket inscribed with Holy Writ and blessed, so that I may take on a little bit more demonic of entities, shall we say. So, Soul Taker, I respect everything that you've done in professional wrestling, but there are some things that even the gods cannot forgive. So this Friday, the 13th, I'll see you there.
Wow. I mean, boy, Godric Sandwell going to a cemetery and showing us things that, I mean, I thought I knew Godric. Like, Godric's been coming on the platform every month for about 9 months or so. He's been here many times. Godric is here on June 22nd, right after this coming Friday's match, then next Saturday's match against Dante Casanova and Joshua Kavad. But I mean,
Another big match for him.
oh, I mean, you want to talk about big matches, and we talked about that with Godric a couple of weeks ago, and he'll be here for the fallout from it on the 22nd. But I mean, Mr. Titan, I mean, this was definitely a different Godric Sandwell, and I keep saying this every time, but this is even Godric in a level we haven't seen in the last show on Sportswire Radio. And boy, what do you think?
It's like I said, I don't know what a Seroquel or a Super Swim or whatever them things are he's referring to during that, but I know that he seems super, super focused on Soul Taker, as far as to go even what seems like to learn part of Soul Taker's past and where the man that became Soul Taker came from. So, I mean, if he's taking it serious enough to where he's looking into the history of the man behind Soul Taker, I feel good for Godric come Friday. I feel like he's coming in prepared.
Yeah, you know both these men very well. I mean, do you think that this is what Godric needs to do? I mean, obviously you're not rooting for anybody. It's your show, but is that the approach that you think Godric should take going into this?
I think the big difference between the two that I noticed the most is that Soul Taker in the past has let his anger distract him. He's let Tafua distract him in the past, which cost him the Interdivision title. So he's shown that he can be distracted. I feel like Godric Sandwell is so focused on Soul Taker right now that nothing is going to distract him.
Interesting, because he was here a few weeks back, Godric, and we were talking about one more match, one more shot. Yes, everybody was chanting, but now Godric going to a cemetery trying to learn about the Soul Taker, and you've got this match coming up, which you're certainly promoting, and then we have the following Saturday. He's in a match for an NWA championship, and you've got to wonder, is Godric having too much on his plate? That can he concentrate on both matches, or is it from what you've seen in this video that he's got to go all in here, put all his eggs in this basket to try to get past Soul Taker, and maybe for next Saturday, that leaves him just almost with nothing left in the tank to try to claim an NWA championship and really make history?
And as somebody who considers Godric a friend, you said it right. My biggest worry for him is the gentleman in him does not like to say no. He is going to take every opportunity that is handed to him, and he is going to put his all into it, and he's shown that. And I'm worried that if he's going to keep burning that candle with both ends, he's going to kind of grind himself down. I don't worry about his dedication or anything like that. I worry about him never saying no, taking every opportunity given to him, and that eventually just kind of grinding him down, or even maybe turning him into, I mean, we keep talking about how this seems to be a different Godric, and this seems to be a different Godric. Like, what if there's one in there we all don't like?
Godric. But, you know, you have to wonder sometimes.
What if,
you know,
what if he grinds himself to one that we all don't like? That's what I worry about. I want Godric to remain the Godric that I know, and I'm worried he's gonna grind himself to a point of almost becoming an android of the business, if you will.
Do you think that's because there's a lot of pressure on him to win these matches? We know in other places, obviously, he's come up short. It was a lot for him to win back the Three Rivers Championship and Express. Even his most recent match with Matt McCoy, how much was put in there, what he did to win the scramble match. And now we talk about Soul Taker, what he's done here, and then he's got the following weekend, and maybe the pressure, it's so much on him. He's got to try these things because really, if he comes away here empty-handed and doesn't win either of these matches, it goes back to the original point of the conversation we had with Godric for several weeks you were a part of. Is Godric going to win a big one? So maybe that pressure is a thing.
Like I said, I don't doubt that Godric's going to win a big one. I'm more worried that Godric's going to wrestle 7 little ones before the big one because he won't say no to an opportunity. And because of them 7 little ones, he's not going to be in the shape he needs to be in to win that big one.
Yeah, I really think that sometimes it's more mental than anything else. I mean, we know Godric is pound for pound one of the best performers right now in the Northeast. He is a guy that everybody.
Top 5 in Pittsburgh right now, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And we know the Pittsburgh wrestling scene. You've been covering it, obviously, with the boys. I mean, Kevin from Ring Crew, Mr. Horror, who was here last Sunday. But, it is sometimes a mental thing. There's a lot of guys here in the chat. We're going to say hello to everybody in a little while. I really want to say hello and maybe get your thoughts on a couple different people that are here in the chat. But I think it is real sometimes, pressure. We see it in sports, right? Teams that haven't won. And we've talked a lot about this with Godric. And maybe this is the approach Godric feels he needs. No longer the devil in the blue coat. And we saw the chants and shouts he had last time here on the platform. And now going basically to the wheelhouse of the Soul Taker is. Again, this is a man, by the way, Mr. Titan, that just a few short weeks ago tag teamed with a man that I interviewed and a man that was just featured on Worlds Collide in Savio Vega. So Godric is really stepping into the big leagues now. I mean, this is no more, hey, I'm wrestling somebody and, maybe I dance around, I get the upper hand. No, now he's wrestling guys that maybe 6 months ago Godric wasn't thought of to wrestle. Now he's expected to win them. It's no longer a Godric about, hey, it's nice to be here, nice to be a part of the dance. Now it's a matter of like, okay, we know you've arrived. You know that everybody thinks you're one of the very best. But now you got to win. You got to win something here.
I'll say that I've always thought that Godric should have been in that league that you're saying of wrestling them people. And nothing makes me happier than knowing that I had something to do in the fact that he's getting that match where people are finally, like you were being like, you know what? This is he's in the big leagues now. He's getting that big league match. So I think that he deserves this. I can think of very few people in my mind right now, I think, that deserve this more than Godric.
I agree with that. And Godric is, I'm like you. Godric has been a friend, and I root for all of the wrestlers that come on to Sportswire. But Godric is one of those guys that has fought and clawed his way. And I've seen Godric here, I want to say this, in the last 2 or 3 months that he's come on. I think that there were people here on Sportswire that maybe didn't understand the Godric momentum. They didn't understand the Godric surge. They didn't understand what he was about, right? Yeah. And I've noticed the last couple of months, I've seen other guys in other places. I've seen people in the chat start to get it. It clicks. Maybe it's because we've seen him here in other places like LAW, obviously now you with Money Mark Media, Express and Excel Wrestling. And I think that this is where it's real. And I think that people now are starting to say and see, well, Godric Sandwell, he is a player in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and he's got to walk away with the W here. Let me ask you a different question because you make a lot of great points. I'm going to put the link up here for the ticket because I want people to buy a ticket to the show. I'm buying the ticket actually right when we're going to go off the air, so I want to make sure my buddy Silas Walker goes to the show because they could try to mug me, they could try to shoot me, kill me, but they ain't stopping me from supporting my wrestlers and my wrestling companies. But I got a lot of guys on this card.
Silas.
Yeah, we're going to see you there. But I want to get your thoughts in because, it's so fascinating. I see Day Jameson. I see Godric Sandwell. I see now Hype Man Dan Lasers. Do you think that this could go either two ways and it's a make or break for these guys? or am I overthinking this? Because part of me thinks for these guys, this could be their moment, even though they've been building to it. Certainly Jameson, you know it better than anybody. Godric, we've talked a lot about here. Hype man Dan Layers has kind of come out of nowhere and kind of thin air and all of a sudden put himself as one of these upper echelon wrestlers, pound for pound, young talents. But is this a make or break show for these three guys? And where do you think their trajectory goes going forward for the rest of the year? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think any match is technically a make or break match. I mean, if Godric loses, he's still the type of dude I see rebounding. Hype man Dan Lasers, like I said, he's so new that he's like, I don't even think there's really enough tape on that dude to get a good read on him to know how to defend against him. So like, he's so good and is so new that it's hard to tell. And then Dave Jamieson is the one I'm worried about. And not that I think that it's a make or break. It's that I'm worried that KJ might break him in general, man. Like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to KJ on social media and stuff recently, but this dude got the biggest chip on his shoulder. I'm not going to call it a chip on your shoulder. I'm sorry if you see this, KJ. I didn't say that. This dude has a best friend who's betraying him that is definitely a monkey on his back, I'll call it, that has turned him into a very aggressive, violent person. Like, I think 6 months ago, had Day wrestled Fuego, it'd have been a nice, fun match, but I think Day got his dream match a little too late, and I'm not saying I'm worried for him, but I'm saying I don't think that Day Jamieson is getting the person that he thought he was.
So
it's not a make or break. I don't think it's a make or break moment as much as it's KJ is angry enough that he might just come in and try to prove a point and break Day Jamieson in general.
So that means then that Day Jamieson transitioning into that Day Jamieson has to give it everything in the kitchen sink to be able to really make history, really make history here and get a victory
Absolutely.
That will forever permanently put him on the wrestling map.
It would put him right up in them big leagues, like you were just talking about with Godric. It would put him on a different shelf of some people. So, I mean, like I said, I don't think that any match for any of them three dudes, because they're all so talented, is going to be a make or break match. But out of the three, I worry about Day the most, and it's more for his safety than his career.
Is it because you think that the competitor that Jamieson is facing is one right now that is obviously in a different frame of mind, but also is obviously coming off recently being in a different promotion, and obviously he may have his sights set on, well, returning to the big leagues, and this may be a match for him that he wants to, well, I don't want to use the term, but use the term blow somebody like Day Jamieson out of the water here?
I think he might want to use Day Jamieson as a point to prove to Sam Stackhouse of like, look, I'm coming for you. I'm going to get my hands on you, and I'm going to go through everybody they put in my way to get to you. So I think that he's just coming in to make a buck and prove a point. So I'm just I'm doing the shoot here with you, but I think that KJ Orso is coming in with a completely different mentality than we've ever seen out of him over the years, from the backyard years to the AEW to the Fuego del Sol. Like, he is a completely different person, it seems like now in my mind.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because we were talking a lot about that last time on the show with D'Angelo the Flame, who was a backyard guy, done some stuff in the underground. I know Princess JD knows D'Angelo, and D'Angelo is now, he's basically looking to make that transition, kind of where Day is. Certainly he'd like to be where Mr. Orso is and others, and it's interesting that you talk about that evolvement. And now Day is trying to also make that evolvement and go into those footsteps, and obviously sort of in the in-between period. So you obviously have quite a history with Mr. Jamieson. So is there anything that Mr. Jamieson can do, you think, to, combat the frame of mind or what we could see from Mr. Orso this Friday coming up?
Come out with the same aggressiveness you came out on me with, bro. come out with that same fire that you released on my back. I'm telling you, come out with that. You're going to have to be at that level, man.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, and I want to ask you one more follow-up with this, because you know better than anybody. You're a promoter. You're also in the same, level of competition that I'm in, obviously doing this now. You're an interviewer. You've also been a wrestler. You've been a referee. So you know the wrestling scene as good as anybody that's going to come on here. Let me ask you, is there ever a match that you think or could potentially be one of those matches that you know what, and say, hey, this could be the match that puts me into, let's say, back in the big leagues, or, puts me, maybe gets booked in more places. And you look at it with Jameson and Orso. Is that kind of match from your vantage point that you think could be that type of match for either of these guys? Just from your experience, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the thing about it is KJ Orso has enough past footage to, I don't think that there's much more he can do. I mean, he has national TV footage, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do I think that this match is going to be huge for Dave Jamieson in general, win or lose?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, he has a huge opportunity to go out here, get a bunch of hits, get a bunch of views, stuff like that. So, that's another thing that I hope really gets taken advantage of here, is you're going to have a lot of eyes on you for sure.
Absolutely. And if you're here right now, I'm going to continue to put the link up here throughout the show. Please go out and buy a ticket to this. I am very excited. We have a number of matches to get to here. We have people in the chat I'm going to get to. We are very excited to have on Timothy Titan in his monthly spot here on Sportswire Radio, because this man is doing a hell of a job putting on a show this Friday for our friends here in 2125 Beacon Street in beautiful McKeesport, Pennsylvania, in the Express Building. You have to come out there and go buy a ticket if you were nearby. Please, 2125 Beacon Street. I always say, Mr. Titan, I've got this address memorized like the back of my hand, and I want everybody to go out there and please support you and support all of our wrestlers. Yes, please. And we're gonna certainly put the link up for people to see visually, and we'll keep this link up. And we'll put the Indie Vision podcast up here. We've got a couple of other things to announce. I know also Friday we've got Peanut Butter and Jealous in action. I know I got Max Hammer here. It's Hammer time, and I got to spend a minute or two on talking about they feel in their own right that they've got something to prove. They want to get gold. We've seen what they've done on social media. They have a move that I'm not going to repeat on here because we are a family station, and you can go figure out what that piece of object that they called their finishing move was, but it got a lot of reaction, a lot of views. And yeah, we're not going to do that. We're a family station on here, but you get the picture. But what do you expect from them here come up? Obviously, they're against Daniel Tafua in this handicap match, and Daniel Tafua may call himself the chosen one in the Mighty Liga, and he's Daniel Tafua, but Peanut Butter and Jealous, they're looking for wins, and they're going to make him into a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, certainly the way things are going.
I mean, they definitely seem to mesh very well, which peanut butter and jelly makes sense. I mean, it's kind of the go-to thing that mixes well. So, I mean, it's a perfect name for them guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I just brought them in so that I could get Max Hammer into a locker room and try to pick that hammer up, because I don't get it. So the main reason that I booked them on the show is so that I could attempt to pick that hammer up in the locker room. So,
do you think you'll get that chance here then coming up this Friday?
I mean, if they want to get paid, I will.
Well, I'm going to certainly say no comment on it, but it's hammer time. And if you need some music to be played during the intermission, Loveless is a DJ. He can bring his equipment, so maybe that can save you a little bit of some resources. He can, he's only going to be wrestling one match, so that leaves him time for the rest of the show. So maybe he can go spin some tunes for us and get the crowd pumping and. Obviously that might be something.
I heard a rumor he's going to be doing a DJ set for a after party for a July show. So,
well, I'm going to leave that at that. But obviously, again, Peanut Butter and Jealous, they've been on here before. We'll bring them back on, I'm sure, soon. But there's no question that is this more about them than Tafua here coming up on Friday? What's your thoughts on that?
This is more of giving three local guys an opportunity to show themselves off.
That was a good political answer. That was a good answer.
It's literally it's three local dudes that the crowd's already familiar with. So, I'm going to bring them in and let them show me what they got.
I'm
not guaranteeing. And I'm also going to say I'm not guaranteeing before then I might not find Tafua a little surprise partner.
So we're saying Tafua
just throwing that out into the woods.
So let me get this straight. We're saying Tafua may not be going 2-on-1.
He may not be flying solo. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, that could certainly change things a little bit. That could definitely change a lot of things here coming up. So I would certainly say stay tuned to that. That's the link. We'll put the visual up here in a minute. So I did want to ask you kind of for fun, and before I make the transition, we'll get to the chat in a minute because I want to talk about some other matches. But so Freddie versus Jason, obviously that's the match maybe that everybody's most curious on who wins, you know?
By far, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to book two fictional characters, by the way. It was almost impossible, just throwing it out there.
Well, we got
Jason Voorhees versus Freddy Krueger.
I asked Tommy Horror about it.
Friday the 13th battle.
Yeah. I mean, boy, I think the fans might have. I'm listening. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's the ultimate Friday the 13th battle in my mind. I knew I had to try. That was the one match I wanted to have on the show for sure.
You know, that's probably going to divide the fans the most and who they think wins. You know, certainly we'll talk about Pepper Pride and Hype Man Dan Lays. We'll get to that other match. We'll talk about Brohemoth and Jace Carr. I want to get to some other things. But, you know, that might be the match that divides the fans most, like I said, on who they think may come out because it's, you know, Freddie and Jason are such iconic characters. They've had such iconic careers and people may have a tough time deciding who walks away there.
I'm most curious to see how both of them show up to the arena. Like, are they going to arrive in cars? How are they going to get there? I'm so curious about it. Like, am I just going to be looking down the alley and Jason appears in some fog that came out of nowhere? Like, I have no idea how either one of them are going to arrive at the arena, and I'm beyond curious.
Well, I mean, I guess to answer that, well, it kind of reminds me of how I got back to the Sportzwire studios because it was foggy and dark and dingy, and maybe that's, you know, Jason and Freddie. They can't just come out in the usual red carpet. They've got to come out in some fog and some density and coming out of just flames and fire and, you know, brimstone and everything else there. I mean, hellfire and brimstone. I mean, I almost think they're being resurrected. You can look at it. I mean, they're after all being resurrected from the dead, and they're going to come out in some form, I suppose.
I mean, Freddy Krueger in his original contract tried to get it that I had to put the whole audience to sleep so that the fight could happen in their dreams. And I was like, dude, I can't drug an entire audience of people, Freddy. Like, you got to be rational here, dude.
Yeah,
luckily I was able to get him and his agent to take that out.
Thank God. You know, Mr. Titan, you are a shrewd businessman, and we would expect nothing less from you. And, you know, silly In My Dreams was the famous song in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. That was I believe, number 4. And that was, you know, by the band Dokken. And yeah, we're definitely going to be rocking to see Freddie versus Jason. I'm excited about that. I will say, you know, objectively speaking, Freddie and Jason movies always made me cringe because I was always terrified of them. But this match, I'll be very excited to watch because I know that this is going to be a match a lot of people are going to remember here. But, you know, I have a lot of people in the chat. I want to get to the chat. I want to talk to them. I want to see what's on their mind, and I think it's about that time. And there he is, first one, Day Jamison, surprisingly ahead of Zilla. Yep, Day is always one of these guys that we're always talked about here on Sportswire Radio, and I'm really, really fascinated on what he does here this Friday. I'm so excited to see Day Jamison, guys like him, get opportunities who started out, you know, I know your history with him, but, you know, hearing his journey from the backyard, family involved, showing up, and now moving his way up the ladder, getting what he wanted. And I'm sure Lee Moriarty somewhere is watching this because I know he's wanted Lee Moriarty, Day Jamison. And, you know, maybe he does have a make or break match because, sure, whether he wins or loses, if he does put on a hell of a showing, you better believe Lee Moriarty, maybe you're going to book him next. You never know out there. So I do think it's an important match.
That is a super valid point right there. That valid point is that could be a set of the eyes on this match day. Keep that in mind going into it.
Now, Mr. Titan, this reminds me in a way, because as we are here with Timothy Titan, the man behind Money Mark Media and the promoter of this Friday's show here, also in conjunction with Express and Excel Wrestling. He is also one of the hosts of the Indie Vision podcast. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all music and wrestling matters. What this reminds me of, Mr. Titan, before we get to the rest of the chat here, is that on social media, a big topic recently has been I have applied now and put my name in the ring to be the next head coach here in New York of the John Jay College men's basketball team. And one of the important things about
this.
Yeah, so one of the important things about putting a basketball team together is you got to scout, you got to prepare. And I think what you're doing here for Dave Jamieson versus KJ Orso, the artist formerly known as Fuego del Sol, is that if you're Lee Moriarty out there, yeah, Dave Jamieson puts on a heck of a match, and we know this is all going to be streamed. This is going to be streamed so people can watch this. You might want to say, you know what? I want to go out and watch, and I want to now be able to have that match. I believe in what Dave Jamieson does, just like what I'm going to do when I take over the basketball team is we're going to put the best players out there on the court. We're going to find them. We're going to scout and watch. And Lee Moriarty, one of the very best wrestlers out there, we know what he's done in Ring of Honor, everywhere else, pound for pound here in the Pittsburgh area. If Dave puts on that match where he gets himself to where he needs to be, that's an example, and that's what Timothy Titan is doing. He's doing great coaching, great everything, and Zilla agrees. Thank you, Zilla. Zilla, Zilla, Zilla. Zoom, 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 to quote Dr. Dre. And it is Hammer time. Not quite Dr. Dre, but Max the Hammer is here, and whoop, there it is. But he is here, and it is definitely going to be an awesome show, and you better believe it is going to be awesome, and you better go out there and buy that ticket. Buy that ticket right here. Get only $16. That's it, $16, and plenty of repeat customers. Doors open 6.
And don't forget, a part of this is at the door. If you buy an online ticket, you will be refunded the Eventbrite charge. So it's $15 or $20.
I'll tell you what, we're still going to charge you. You keep the change, Mr. Titan. You just keep coming back on Sportswire Radio. You just keep giving us these shows to promote.
No, I mean the people that everybody that buys a ticket at the door when you show up to tell us that you have the online ticket, we will give you the $2 fee back.
If you got the ticket at the door, you do that. Yeah, you do that, and you get your hard-earned money back, and you use it for the next show that Mr. Titan will have. And speaking of people, a man that's going to be on my show Saturday night, Chris Phoenix, who's now in a team with hype man Dan Lasers, and he must be scouting for Dan Lasers. We're going to talk about Dan Lasers right after we get through the chat, so very excited about that. There we go. Zilla, yes, hi, Zilla. Hello. Ox McCoy, obviously. Ox is always one of my favorites. He is the IMF.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna interrupt. I'm sorry. Ox, please hit me up. My DMs are crazy. If you hit me up, I want to have you on our show. Hit me up.
Yes. Get this. Well, he's not the biggest of talkers, but get him on. Let's see if you can get him to talk, because he doesn't seem to talk on my show. So let's see if you can pull the rabbit out of the hat. But he might like you better than me. So you know what? You might have a better shot. But we'll be at the beautiful Pro Wrestling Tees at. And the man that obviously we played that video off to kick things off tonight, Godric Sandwell. And Friday cannot be here fast enough. Amen. Amen to that. How you doing? Yes. Good. And we are very happy to see everybody here. And, I want to bring this guy up here for a second. His name is D Savage. Now, he's a guy that was here last Monday, and he had a pretty big match in his own right. He wrestled this guy, Tommy Invincible. You probably heard of him. Got 130,000 followers on Instagram. He wants to wrestle John Cena at SummerSlam, had a match with Matt Cardona, and Mr. Savage just wrestled him. Now, I had noticed when Mr. Savage was here on last Monday's show, Mr. Sandwell was going back and forth with him. And then I also noticed when Mr. Sandwell was here, Mr. Savage was going back and forth with them. Now, I know that Mr. Savage is wrestling for 814 Wrestling, and I understand that Mr. Sandwell and Mr. Savage have met. I understand also that Mr. Savage is a guy that's not too far from your neck of the woods, and he's got a big match coming up there.
Mr. Savage must be way closer to me than I expected if he's at 814.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, maybe when you finish putting these shows together and they're going to be successful, they're going to sell out the building, and maybe since I had noticed that Mr. Sandwell and Mr. Savage had quite a back and forth, maybe you could introduce those guys to each other finally, and maybe they'll have a duel of some sorts in one of your shows.
I would love to give them an introduction. Get in touch with me, Mr. Savage.
I think that can be arranged. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hello to Princess JD, and you do look a little bit like Sami Zayn. That's a compliment from her. She's
Yeah,
very
I get
happy.
that a lot.
Well, you're the promoter. He's not, though. Yes, hello. And I love that Timothy Titan gave me a shout out. Yes, we are very happy that he did that. Speaking of people from the great state of Idaho, Comatose is here. How you doing? Comatose is doing well. He's 8 days without drinking. Let's make it 800 million days without drinking. And drink water, though. Drink water, though. But yes, drink,
Yeah,
drink.
congratulations.
Drink non-alcoholic beverages. Thank you, Comatose. And Hammer Time is here. You know, definitely, he's definitely not touching some things here, but touching D Savage. Hello, hello. Let's go into what Mr. Sandwell had to say in his breakdown of that video. My heart and soul goes into every match. Terms non-negotiable. And all of the heart and soul will keep my soul and spirit intact. Arduous soul taker will be, I am ready for him. There you go.
Does this guy just read the thesaurus? Like, it's insane some of the words he uses.
But remember, though, in Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, he did do the worst of everybody so far.
First grade. Yeah, first grade. It's insane.
Okay, moving on. We'll move on because I'm sure that will be a topic throughout the rest of the show. Yes, hello to Zilla. Hello. Godric for heavyweight champion. But you know what? He's got a shot at the Midwestern title on the 21st. He's got that shot with him.
Beautiful belt, by the way.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've seen that belt, but that is an absolutely gorgeous belt, man. I love the way that belt looks.
Yeah, you know what? I think I showed the picture of Mr. Casanova with the title when Godric was here. So yes, we talked about that. We talked about the legacy of it. We talked about it with Tommy Hara. We talked about it with Courtney Wood on Thursday. So yeah, I mean, to have somebody potentially be an NWA champion on our platform is a major, major feat, and everybody's rooting for Godric. Godric, the cards are stacked against us Friday, but we must come out on top. We must prove our worth. Somebody obviously read my notes because I do think these guys like Dave Jameson, Godric Sandwell, and Hype Man Dan Lasers have a lot to prove because they're wrestling established or leaning toward established names. You think about Soul Taker. You think about certainly Mr. Orso. And there's Pepper Pride. And I think that those three have a lot to prove here coming up. I really do.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Pepper Pride is doing TNA the weekend after the Friday show. So, I mean, I would call her established at this point.
I understand that. But certainly she, in terms of experience, is leaning toward the direction of Mr. Soul Taker and Mr. Roar. So I think that's kind of the general point. I want to say hello to my friend out there in the more friendlier confines than my neck of the woods these days, in Brooklyn, New York, Kings County, Miss Angela Pink, who was worried for dear life for me. And I'll definitely talk to Angela when I'm off the show tonight because she was worried because, as I was telling you, Mr. Titan, and most of the people here in the chat, as I was delivering my newspapers this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, I noticed, yes, thankfully you're not going to mug me, but there was these three kids were shouting and yelling. And, luckily I carry one of these things and, I put the alarm off and, it didn't chase them away. But, it was one of those things. And, we come prepared. It's Gotham City. But thank you, Angela, for tuning in. And a lot of other people will get to you here in the chat. Also, I love and like to be called the greatest of all time fan. Yeah, in Sportzwire radio history, you are the greatest of all time fan. I mean, you're here every show. I mean, I keep telling him, Mr. Titan, she should replace me. You won't have any more competition with the Indie Vision podcast. You guys can let Zilla take over here. She can deal with everybody, and you guys can, be on top, and that might be the way to go. But we'll have to see. Let me rephrase Godric for all of the championship belts. He is insanely talented and entirely dedicated. I agree with the last part, certainly. Yeah, he's definitely dedicated, and that's why I love supporting all my wrestlers on here. I love supporting my people, and that's what it's all about here. We were talking about this, Mr. Titan, on yesterday's show with D'Angelo the Flame, and like at Sportswire, we're like our wrestling family. There's different food groups of our wrestling family. There's our backyard, our underground guys, and there's, our indie and pro-leaning talents, and that's what it's all about. And I love seeing our wrestling family here succeed and being here, and Godric has become one of those people from our wrestling family that we've built on sports. We've built this little thing, and it's always special to have shows like this one where the people are turned out, and Godric is one of those examples. Hello to Zilla. Yes, we're rooting for Godric, but the Soul Taker, it's still no souls matter. Hello there to Zilla. Yes, and thank you. It's truly an honor for you to be in my corner. I know I'll need all the help I can get. Yeah, you are going to need that help. You are definitely going to need that help, and I need everybody to give me help and buy a ticket for Timothy Titan. Please buy a ticket there. And yeah, for once, you might want to frame this. You might want to screenshot this, but you're correct. Screenshot that. He's very scary right now, Mr. Orso, and yeah, he's very
scary right now. Yes,
he's one of the very scariest ones out there, and we really will be very anxious to see that. Mr. Jameson, I do wish you the absolute best of luck. I agree completely. We are definitely looking forward to watching the match regardless. I am really thankful for the discount you are offering for the show Friday, Mr. Titan. Absolutely agreed. Absolutely. Please take advantage of that offer if you are in the Western Pennsylvania area. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Also, Princess JD says she will leave the show tonight if Omen Black joins the show. Well, as far as I know, he's not coming on to talk to Timothy Titan. So I hope you stay past your bedtime, right? Well, what time do you have to go to school in the morning? Well, this is still school going on across the country. I wonder about that because I hear in West Virginia. So. Well, in New York City, we have school. The kids have school until the end of the month because they get so many days off in New York City. Okay. It's like they get off like every day though, so they should be in school all year round. They get like every holiday possible. So but that's okay. But thank you, Zilla. Yes. Day, I wish you the best of luck Friday. Yes, very excited, and Hammer Time definitely read my notes as well. You can bet that Peanut Butter and Jealous is coming Friday with something to prove, and I think that's going to be very fascinating to see. Thank you. You're
going to prove to me how heavy that hammer really is.
It's hammer time, baby. You can't touch this. You can't touch that hammer. You can't touch it. And you're welcome to try, but I doubt you were even manly enough to lift the hammer. Boy, that's how he's talking to his boss?
Friday.
Wow,
we find out Friday.
I'll tell you what, maybe this water was the right thing because I feel like the water's down tastes me better than the soda sometimes on here. Got me watching this and Raw at the same time. Yo, Mr. Titan, I'm going to tell you something that I told two of my buddies.
Hey, I'm going to warn you real quick. If you keep going, there's a spoiler coming up. If you want to miss the spoiler, just a heads up. There is a spoiler coming up for Raw that I saw.
Well, I was going to say something you're going to be shocked to hear. So I was with two of my buddies before eating dinner out. Angela knows them, Joshua Bailey and Joseph Rosass. And they, Joe Rosass is a WWE fan. Josh was not. And he was asking me about Raw. And I've said this to him, and I said this on Sportswire the last several times in the last week. I have not watched Raw once this year. Why? Because I don't have Netflix. I haven't watched Raw once. So as far as I know, I want to be on Sportswire. I don't have Netflix. I haven't watched it once. So I'd rather be here.
See, I watched it in 2 times later. I watched it later in 2 times. So
okay, that's fair. That's fair. It doesn't matter who you put in the opposing corner. We are hungry for victory. I do think, and I spoke with Hammer not too long ago, and they are looking for gold. They are very hungry for gold. Loveless is motivated. We know he's went through a lot, and we know the social media engagements have gone up through the roof for these guys, and they do have a lot to prove here. A lot to prove. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. They're like you said, their social media stuff has blown up recently. So
yeah, they're definitely.
I'm happy for them.
They're definitely due here to come back onto the platform, and that will happen. I just can't tell you when at this point, but that will be soon. Yes, the IMF is here Thursday night. We're very happy to see all the guys here. They haven't been here in a while, but we're going to make sure that we talk a lot about that. Although LaFlame and Kato were here the last 2 years, which was kind of IMF related, so that gives us a little bit of a break. If you need something Titanic sorts at any point, I've still got my connections with the great Laftayan and Cerebrus. There you go. Okay, well, speaking of cues,
mythological creatures, evidently.
You know what? And I see a lot of people here in the chat, and I see somebody's here, and I don't know if it's Kevin or Mr. Hara, but we've got an Indie Vision Network YouTube page that needs support, needs more subscribers. And I got 40-something people watching me right now between all my platforms. I need people to hit that sub button for the Indie Vision Network. We got a new photo. The guys look like $1 million. We got maybe Mr. Titan some more shows coming up. So that's why you hit that notification button, Indie Vision Network. You can find out who's coming next and tell us a little bit about that.
Next episode we have coming up is Shadow. So the Shadow episode will be out sometime this week. I'm very excited for this one because me and Tommy both have a very close past personal connection with Shadow, and Kevin knew him pretty well too. So it was a very good interview in my opinion. We went pretty deep. Also, you'd like it because you're gonna love it. We discussed a lot of musical stuff on there too. So.
Oh, good. Well, I'm thank you for plugging my own show, because tomorrow night we have this guy who apparently wrote the song "We're an American Band" and "I'm Your Captain." Close it up. I'm your captain. That's the one and only Mr. Mark Farner of Grand Funk Railroad, and a national American treasure. And he's here tomorrow night at about 10 o'clock Eastern time. So he's going to be in your seat. But I think, Timothy Titan, you'll do just fine compared to Mark Farner. But so we'll enjoy the musical stuff. But hit the sub button for the Indie Vision Network, because I'm very excited about more shows coming up. And also, Angela wanted to say she's on her way back home. She's on her way, I think, from down south back to Brooklyn. And she said you're doing great. And she's happy to watch the show, which is great, because she's tuned in. And I love everybody tuned in. So thank you, Angela. And hit the sub button for the Indie Vision Network. Let's get some more people in the chat. You got a lot of comments here, as usual. You've certainly put the word out. Tim said I have to make sure Freddie and Jason are calm. Somebody's got to do a dirty job.
It's Kevin, by the way. That was Kevin.
I know that. He's here on June 26th.
Yep. That's Kevin's job.
Well, you know what? Instead of saying it's a dirty job, it's going to be a bloody job. Get it? Bloody job,
Absolutely. It's going to be a rough one for him.
That's going to definitely be a bloody job. Certainly.
He might. In fact, Kevin might be the only person in more danger than Day Jameson that night.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, Kevin, from experience, I'm sure he'll know what to do. And I was in danger this morning, and maybe you need the alarm. Maybe you need one of these. Put the alarm. Well, it's Freddie and Jason. It may not help. In this case, it may not help. But okay, I guess we can read this here. If you didn't see Raw, too bad. Gunther just put Jay to sleep and is the new world champion. Boy, that was quick. I guess so much for the Yeet experience. I guess the Yeet movement ended. It ended.
I was going to say Gunther done yeeted that belt right off of him, huh?
And some people were saying on social media Gunther was going to be released. Well, the only thing he released was the world title of Jey Uso.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's why I don't read spoilers. That's why I don't read wrestling spoilers. I really don't. I don't read them. And Gunther is the champion. He held and Uso held the title for a couple of minutes, and there you go. Yeah, spoilers. Ox. Yeah, some people did it. Yeah, they spoiled. Well, Mr. Savage is good people in my eyes. Yeah, and I want to give Day did it certainly an interesting thing, but I want to give D Savage some praise, because he's another guy that he graduated to me from this backyard underground scene, and he's moved into being what I would call a professional wrestler now. The way he conducted himself last Monday, I know you were watching some of it, and I heard him talk about different things, about just how he prepares himself in the ring, his physique, what he's looking to do. And I've had him on before. I've had him on, he was in the backyard in the underground. And, he obviously, people might look at him as so, but I look at him now in the same way as I look at my Day Jamesons. I look at my Godric Sandwells, as I look at him as a guy that he's maturing and he's becoming what is a professional wrestler. And that's why I think that, D Savage is a guy that he really is. I hope a lot of people look at and say, you know what, this guy busted his tail, lost 60 pounds, is moving great in the ring, got a match with Tommy Invincible, doing some great things in 814, and he wants to be a pro wrestler, and he's putting the work in, and that's, and he's probably not going to like me saying that, but, well, he does have a cold heart. He's a Boston Celtics fan, but, we're not going to hold that against him. After I beat Luke Lee, coming up at 814, wins the Legacy Championship. Yeah, mate, you know what? But maybe Timothy Titan could promote that coming up, and I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. I would be most honored, Mr. Savage. I shall not turn that down, or something like that. Well, let me get to some more comments. Hopefully, Brohemoth leaves enough left of Jace Carr so I can get my favorite face back. That's a great segue. And I was wondering, we've got Brohemoth and Jace Carr, another two men that you've interviewed on the Indie Vision podcast, your Indie Vision podcast specialty match. But, I know we've talked about this before. Tommy talked a little bit about it last week, but now that we're getting ready for Friday, what's your thoughts there coming up?
That match is a surprise to me. So Jace Carr is in charge of Express, and so he kind of wanted to put himself into a match. He came to me and was like, I want a match. So I said, okay, what match do you want? And he said, I want a match where I can prove myself that I'm not just the boss. I want to prove I'm still a fighter. So he requested Brohemoth and requested it to be a hardcore match. So I got to give him a lot of respect, actually, for being willing to be like, I know that I'm the boss, but I want to prove I still got it. So I'm blown away by the fact that this was the match that he picked.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes, again, you want to prove something. Sometimes you want to show to people, hey, you know what? I might be the boss, but I'm still the same guy, and I'm going to beat you at your own game. I guess that's the point to be made. I think it's another match where it's such a push-em match. You think about what both men have done and what they want to continue to show that they're worth. I mean, it was so fascinating hearing Brohemoth on your show and his experience and where he's traveled and looking what he has done in his career. And Jace Carr speaks for itself. So I think it's two men that have quite a background, and it's almost like your veteran match here of the show. It's your like one veteran match of just veteran versus veteran almost. I mean, I'm aside from Freddie and Jason, obviously. I mean, Freddie and
locals, like the local veteran match. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Brohemoth also has another huge match coming up on the 21st at Express where he's going to be wrestling PB Smooth. So, I mean, Bro's another one who kind of never, Bro's another dude who never passes up an opportunity he's given. So, he's another guy who I think that has like the big league, like you referred to it earlier. He's going to be the next league, if you will.
Let me ask you a question on that. Now, I know he's the veteran here. So obviously as a veteran, you're going to at least be more cognizant of not looking or overlooking or looking past what's ahead. But do you think Brohemoth here gets caught in that? Do you think that there's that possibility that he maybe overlooks Jace Carr and just focus toward next Saturday at Express? I got to ask it,
I mean, I understand that. I think when you're as big as Brohemoth, it's hard to not look over people, though, to be honest. So I think that it's just a natural thing that happens. No, I mean, he knows where to focus and when to focus. I know he's focused on Jace Carr, but he definitely got PB Smooth in the back of his mind still.
Oh, we're going to find out. I tell you what, that's another big match. And, very excited about everything we got with Express and Excel Wrestling. And I will put the link up for everybody here to go out and buy a ticket. That's the most important part. So we'll come back to the rest of the chat here. We had a lot of people here who want to talk. And, there you go. And hit the sub button for the Indie Vision Network. And speaking of people that are here, some guy. You've seen him before, right? Seen him around, No? Okay, Sawyer?
I've seen him. I mean, I've never known him to talk before. This is kind of odd to me that I didn't know that he could type. Maybe I should bring
I'm glad you brought this up. I am glad that you brought this up because I have a response on how Mr. Sawyer could be typing. You have ChatGPT now. You have ChatGPT AI. So now you don't have to really physically type this. So somebody there could be putting in ChatGPT and the mannerism, how they could move their face and putting those there through without even typing. That's a thing right now.
I would say AI RK Sawyer is one of the scariest things that I've ever heard of in my life. If he has AI Lilith with him too, I'm never leaving the house again.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's, something else to see. I mean, obviously, we'll have to find out. And I also did want to give a shout out to Mr. Carr because every dollar he's making in professional wrestling is going toward the National Association of Children of Addiction. And I think that that's really important. We've talked a lot about here yesterday on the show with D'Angelo the Flame. We talked about mental health, and he talked about his struggles. He talked about certain things he's went through, whether it's been financial problems, family problems, job problems, and mental health is a serious thing. And I think what Mr. Carr is doing is very commendable. And I think it's something that we all can get behind and support. And really kudos to him.
Absolutely. I think it's amazing that he does that. And I have more respect than I already had for him because of it. That's an amazing thing he does.
Me too. And if you want to find out more information on that, you can go to nacoa.org /celebrating Families Backspace. So please go to the Express Wrestling Facebook page. You can look up more information on that. Let's please support those, especially with mental health being such a struggle and such an issue and such. So please go out there and please make sure you check that out. So great stuff there. And yes, hello to RK Sawyer, whatever version it is. And who else we got here in the chat? Zilla, I would suggest, don't go down the RK Sawyer road. Definitely don't. And you know what? I really hope that Kevin doesn't get a visit from RK Sawyer. I really hope that he doesn't get one. I'm just hoping that that's not the, I hope he doesn't get one.
Don't, RK, I need him on Friday. Don't do nothing to him, please.
Yeah, please. Whatever we do, don't do that here. Yeah, very, 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 very kindly we ask you not to do that. And Kevin is shutting up. Good boy there. Good boy. And obviously, also want to shout out the Express Wrestling Facebook page because the poster is now up. And obviously, NWA star Pretty Boy Smooth against Brohemoth. I mean, you definitely bad reputation. There's no bad reputation for this one because you need to go out there and buy a ticket so you won't have a bad reputation. And yes. Who else we've got here? Okay. You're not trying to be rude. Yeah, don't be rude to him. Mr. Sawyer, you type it in most articulate fashion, or is it Lilith? I'm telling you, it's ChatGPT. It's ChatGPT. It's AI. That's the way they're going. It's not what you think.
Yeah, let's say there's no way that Lilith held a cell phone or a keyboard without immediately breaking it. So,
okay, well, we'll certainly find that out. And RK got lucky at MVP. Yeah, that's a very, very fair point. But I'm not going down that road. That's on Mr. Phoenix. He's here Saturday night. He can explain himself then. Yeah, don't provoke him is right. He may not be afraid of him, but you should still be afraid. RK Sawyer and Chris Phoenix at Express. Now, is somebody trying to get booked here?
I was say I'm not in charge of that. You got to talk to somebody else. That's above my pay grade, brother.
Okay, well, you know what? Nevertheless, I do owe him a dry cleaning receipt for one of my jackets that he mistakenly bloodied. Okay, yeah. Okay, I've got enough of that here. I'm going to give you something in a little while. I'll handle that. But let's talk about a few other things here to kind of put a bow here on Friday's show before I transition to some other things that you might want to talk about or promote. There's some really big things you have here. And let's talk about Pepper Pride here because, we talked a little bit about her for a brief moment. We talked about Hype Man Dan Lazer's story. But, Pepper Pride also has got two really big matches. Obviously, one with Hype Man Dan Lazers for that Indie Vision Championship. Obviously, it's a part of your, obviously, arsenal. But also, she has a match the following weekend also at Express Wrestling against one Paris Sahara. So talk to me about what you expect here from Pepper Pride because, like her, she's one of these people where she can't look past Hype Man Dan Lasers. I know Paris Sahara is a big deal, but she conversely, unlike maybe some of the other opponents that we talked about, maybe Day and Godric and others, maybe they're overlooking or looking, past their opponents because of what's ahead the following weekend, or maybe it's a make or break match. But in this case with Pepper Pride, she's got to be careful not to look past Hype Man Dan Lasers. Why? Because it's the first defense of her championship. You don't want to be out on your feet 1, 2, 3 for that first defense of the title because of that match you have with everybody's talking about. So I think Pepper Pride's actually, unlike maybe some of the other names we spoke about, is the one in this case that has to be careful to be caught napping coming up this Friday.
Yeah, see, I kind of disagree with that. That's another one who's always ready, man. That I jumped on the Pepper Pride bandwagon the first time I saw her.
I know you do. I know you do.
Said bandwagon since. I never count her out. I mean, she by far, I think, well, not by far because Day gave a good fight, but I think that she was the closest one to beating Brohemoth in the Broken Challenge that was happening down in Parkersburg. I do not count her out of anything. If anything, I would say that Dan Lasers is the one in trouble.
Well, I think that Hype Man Dan Lasers, to your point, he has not been seen very much. So we don't know a lot about what he brings to the table. We don't know.
Well, you were talking about Pepper being newer in the business, but going into this match, Pepper's got to be the veteran, I'd say.
So, oh, absolutely. No, Pepper, like I said, I know Pepper for a while. So Pepper is probably this year got, I don't know, 15, 20 matches easy under her belt. So she's been out there wrestling in multiple places. Whereas Hype Man Dan Lasers is still, nevertheless, he's younger. He's newer in terms of his experience in ring. But sometimes they also say, as I always say, the first defense is the most difficult one. It's the most difficult one for any champion. And this could be that moment. Maybe Hype Man Dan Lasers pulls off that upset because it's the first defense, the first title defense. And maybe this is where Pepper's most vulnerable as champion. And maybe she has a long run if she defeats Hype Man Dan Lasers. But that's why this match is a big one here coming up.
So you said about Hype Man, like okay, so Chris Phoenix brought up MVP. I do know for a fact that at MVP this weekend, Hype Man Dan Lasers did have an injury. I contacted him after hearing it. He assured me that he is going to be fine to go Friday, but that's another thing that worries me a little bit on the Hype Man Dan Lasers front. I do know that I'm not going to say what type of injury or anything like that. I don't want to give Pepper the advantage of knowing a body part to work, but I do know that on Saturday at another show, Dan Lasers did suffer a minor injury, but he has assured me that he is ready and willing to continue on with this match on Friday. So,
well, that's certainly, I think that's going to be something to watch. Hype Man Dan Lasers is fighting through a lot. He's fighting through the pain, but you want to be a champion in this sport. That's what it's all about. You want to go out there and win a championship, and this is why the Revolution will be YouTubed, and this is why you need to go out there and watch this show. And yeah, Pepper Pride is definitely somebody that you mentioned, TNA, and I just want to give a shout out to one of my guys that's come on here, Ramrock, who did security at this past TNA show on Friday, and I think Pepper is somebody that's moving up the ladder, and she's a protege of this guy Rhino, who I hear through the grapevine is going to be coming up at a show you might have a part of. But in the meantime, with this show here coming up, is there anything that you want to promote else or talk about before we make a transition into the future of Money Mark Media?
Two sleeper matches of the night, I think, that aren't getting enough attention. And that is Dakota O'Reilly versus Ricky Roca versus La El Shaddai. That is going to be Burner, and you can money mark my words.
And we talked about that. I'm glad you said that because we talked about that last week with Tommy Hara. And La El Shaddai, I believe, is defending the LAW championship there. And you said Dakota O'Reilly. I know Dakota very well. You and I both know Dakota very well. And Ricky Roca, I mean, that's going to be, you know what? La El Shaddai has been put through the ringer with Godric. We know all about that. We saw what he did with Matt Vengeance and certainly Michael McMoney, who's going to be back on Sportswire Radio, I believe, either this week or next week. And La El Shaddai with two people that they would love to show 2125 Beacon Street that they could walk away with another company's championship at Money Mark Media Productions. Boy, now for you, Mr. Titan, what a thing that would be. What a moment for you. Dakota O'Reilly or Ricky Roca come away with the LAW championship. Boy, I mean, you might be the greatest CEO in history if this one happens. You are certainly, in this case, definitely rooting for somebody other than Lyle. I would have to imagine, sir.
See, I never can truly bet against La El Shaddai, but I'm definitely not rooting for him in this match. See, Ricky and Dakota are what I refer to as frenemies. So I'm curious to see if they're going to take that friend's position or that enemy's position going into this match.
Ooh, you know, it's such a difficult thing because, yes, you're right, 2-on-1, but you know how this works in this game. You've done so much for our great sport. It never happens that way it never does. You know,
because one guy got to be willing to sacrifice, and the sacrifice guy is never in that match.
And there is the thought of, hey, I walk away with another company's championship. That's a major cap in somebody's feather. I mean, it's a major thing to say, hey, I'm the LAW champion. Could you, I mean, boy, I mean, the council, I don't know how the council would feel about that one.
I'm going to let one of them say it. I'm like Tommy Horror. When one of them win it, I'm going to let them call themselves champion. I'm not going to call myself champion like he does. But I get what you're going.
Well, listen, it's a great match. You know, and also credit to LAW for granting La El Shaddai to be in action and defend this championship. But there's
Absolutely,
got to be
yes.
some. Yeah, we love LAW and we love La El Shaddai. But let me ask you though, in a way, coming back to LAW, there's got to be some pressure on La El Shaddai coming up because there's no question that you don't want to lose a championship that we had Tommy here last weekend. We were building him up as nobody anywhere in near plain sight has a shot to usurp him as champion. And all of a sudden, an outsider would take away his championship. I mean, there's got to be some pressure actually here coming up on La El Shaddai this Friday. What's your thoughts?
He's gonna see. I mean, he started talking recently. He seems like to be in a different headspace than when I was with LAW. But he's also coming into a completely different building. He's coming into a completely different state, a completely different city, into a completely different situation. So he's not going to come in here and have Tommy Horror to help him control everything like he does there. So he's not going to have that advantage. So he's going to have to really use that mental advantage he has.
I guess what his point will be, he was just in a triple threat match, an elimination match, and what he did to Matt Vengeance and McMoney speaks for itself, and he's going to feel like, well, regardless, look at what I just did there, and I was able to do that, and that's going to put me over the top and put me over the finish line, and you know, those are some points that we'll certainly see, and we're excited about all of that. And anything else about the Revolution will be YouTube that you want to promote before I make some future stuff that I want to put on the agenda here with you?
The other sleeper match of the night, Gigi Jacobs versus D.H. Holmes. I am so excited to be bringing in Gigi Jacobs, one of my favorites in the Indies right now. So that is another dude. I am super excited. And then D.H. Holmes is a local guy, good kid, younger dude, but I think that him and Gigi are going to really go at it. I refer to that as the Who's Your Daddy match. So we're going to find out who's daddy on that during that match.
I tell you what, this is why, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress enough the importance of supporting our companies, supporting those that are doing the work for us. Timothy Titan is out there, and he is putting the work in. He is doing our work, God's work for our community. We need to go out there and support him. I can't stress enough the importance of supporting the Revolution will be YouTube. The sales are, we got a few more days left. Very limited supply of tickets left. We're only talking about a handful of tickets left. So you've got an opportunity. Go out there now. And if you go at the door, he's waiving that event price fee for you. So you cannot get wrong or go anywhere better. Listen, I just went out and saw a ballerina. I spent more money on ballerina than what this ticket will be. You want to go out to, I just went to dinner just now with my buddies, spent $60 for dinner. You can do a lot better by going to 2125 Beacon Street in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, the Express Building. You can go out there and watch the Revolution will be YouTube. So many great matches, so many great wrestlers. And yeah, and Pound Town is coming to McKeesport. Everybody's coming to McKeesport. We got it all. We got Pepper Pride. We got Brohemoth. We got Jace Carr. Certainly Godric Samuel's been talked about. The Soul Taker. No Souls Matter. Dave Jameson's been a big topic. Obviously, we've seen about the artist Flumino's Fuego del Sol. He's front and center. Freddie and Jason, can't forget about that. We've talked about La El Shaddai, our champion. We've talked about so many great wrestlers. You have to go out there, support the Revolution, because this is just where wrestling lives. There is no better way than to support wrestling than to be here. This is truly about all wrestling that matters, and we're excited about all of that here. So I know we spoke a lot tonight about a lot of different things. We talked about Indie Vision podcast, but what's going on with the future here? I mean, are we expecting maybe a sequel to the show? And so what's going to be next for Mr. Money Mark Media for the next time you come back on here?
There probably will be a sequel to the show. Rough date right now is August 1st. I'm not announcing any. I don't have any account or anything to announce, but we are looking into August 1st for the next Money Mark Media show. So, but before that, coming in July, Money Mark Media is bringing Abaddon to Excel or to Express. So we have Abaddon coming to Express in July. on behalf of
Whoa!
Money Mark Media.
How did you listen? You are certainly making deals. I mean, left and right, boy. You know what, Mr. Money Mark Media.
I'm running out of blood to sell at this. I'm running out of blood to sell at this point, Mr. Bryce.
I tell you what. I will tell you what. You really are basically rewriting the art of a deal, because for you to bring him in, I mean, how did you do this?
Abaddon from AEW will be coming in, and she will wrestle the winner of Pepper Pride versus Paris Sahara from June for the Express Women's title in July.
Oh my goodness. The fact that you brought somebody here that we all know from AEW, somebody that social media footprint is massive, and to pull her into this, I mean, this is just going
viral again recently with the final announcement that she will not be resigning with AEW and coming out to indies like Money Mark Media.
I mean, amazing that you pulled this out, and you were probably one of the first people to speak with her about this. I mean, you think about it. You and Tony Khan were competing for the services of Abaddon. Think about this.
Well, here's the thing. When I first started, I've been working on this so long. When I first started booking her, I had to get her opponent confirmed by Tony Khan before the booking could go through.
Well,
so that's how long this has been in the works. And
you know what? And you're gonna have her rather than Tony Khan. I mean, think about this, Mr. Titan. You have certainly shown the world that you are ready in a short amount of time. One of the greatest promoters in history. I mean, showing that you did this. I mean, this is the definition of art of a deal. This is the definition, truly.
I'm just trying to do big things. I'm here to do big things. That's what I'm here to do.
This is the big things. I mean, what you did here by bringing Abaddon on here and potentially Pepper Pride and Abaddon. I mean, oh my, or Paris Sahara.
I mean, Paris Sahara and Abaddon. Either way, it's a banger.
They're all good. I mean, to me, and you're bringing her to Express in July. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, just whoa. Just whoa. To quote Joey from Sunday.
I'm still blown away. This is one of the things that I can't believe I pulled it off, to be honest.
But what you've done, bringing in names like you've done with Fuego del Sol, a.k.a. KJ Orso, Abaddon. I mean, I even hear some guy I interviewed that they're working on for July, I hear. Some guy I know, he's a man-beast, war machine, I hear something about. I mean, we can leave it for the next appearance you come on, but I've heard some rumblings about that. I mean, obviously time will tell, but you definitely the art of a deal, But you know what?
I try my best for sure.
Oh, I tell you what, you definitely don't disappoint. I don't like to disappoint my guests either, because it's Money Mark Media Day on all Sportzwire radio platforms, baby. You wouldn't believe it, but we got it. We got it going on here. Money Mark Media Day. Yeah, I had to give you a gift. I couldn't walk away without. And people at this point expect gifts. I'm almost like, where's my gift? To come on, so like, am I getting something? Because on other podcasts, you guys do trivia. Other ones are like, so, what was your favorite WWE moment? No, here it's like, well, where's my gift and where's my 25-minute intro? Because people are spoiled when they come on Sportswire. They go other places. Know here. But you deserve that, and I'm excited. And June is coming up here Friday, so we're excited. Is there anything else that you want to discuss? We got Indie Vision podcasts. Let's recap. Indie Vision podcasts are coming up very soon. We have more guests in the works. We've got also an Express show June 21st, Bad Reputation. We're going to see a lot of Money Mark Media talent. They're very excited about that. Obviously, Godric.
No, let me reiterate. We're going to see Express talent on the Money Mark Media show.
Well, I was doing you a favor.
I'm going to say that.
Well, I was doing you.
But I'm going to.
Well, Godric and Pepper wrestle everywhere. Let's be honest; they wrestle everywhere.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a shared talent thing.
Yeah, but the point is that we're seeing a lot of talent Friday that's going to be on the 21st. So I'm sure we'll see Jameson now. He's back in Express. Peanut Butter and Jealous, I'm sure, are going to be lurking. Daniel Tafu, I'm sure I love that. He's the gift that keeps on giving. Let me just tell you, Daniel Tafu. Every show I do, I got to say his name. So that's the gift that keeps on giving. You talked about Dakota Orion. That's another thing I'm sure we're going to see on the 21st. Obviously, Brohemoth, Jace Carr, we just talked about them. You're definitely seeing them. I mean, so you're seeing so many people.
I don't think we have an option.
Well, I mean, but we're going to see a lot of these talent coming up on the 21st. August 1st, but that could change. We're going to see another show to Money Mark Media. We've signed Abaddon for July to Express, and we're bringing wrestling to the masses. We are bringing the big names in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, to 2125 Beacon Street, McKeesport, Pennsylvania. What I've learned tonight, Mr. Titan, and I know we talked about it last month and the month prior, but you are really showing that you are bringing wrestling right to the good people of 2125 Beacon Street and McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And there can't be no other way, because we know the history of that building, the history of Express, 31 years and counting going on this year to continue that legacy. And what you're doing here this month is showing we are going to continue to go into 31 years and beyond.
Absolutely. It's incredible to think that a company has been almost as long as I've been alive. Like I said, it's weird. It's weird to know that I'm semi working with the company that I used to mark out for when I was a kid. So that's the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, that's so cool when people get a chance, and this has kind of happened, when I do the music interviews, I get a chance to talk with these bands. Some of them I listen to, others I knew as a kid, but it's the same thing with you, working with Express and seeing this legacy and continuing to grow it and further bring it to the masses. And I think that's why the best is yet to come. I continue to say it. If you are here, I can't stress this enough. Please go out there, go to that link, buy a ticket. Please support Express. Please support Money Mark Media. Excel Wrestling. Shout out to Excel Wrestling. That is obviously our NXT, our offshoot of Express Wrestling. And please support the Indie Vision podcast. Before we ask Mr. Titan one or two more things, if you are here, I see we gained another subscriber. We're certainly moving up the ladder. So I see a lot of people here tonight. And if you haven't yet got a chance, hit the sub button for the Indie Vision podcast. All you have to do, it's so easy. Click subscribe. I've done it 3 times. You should do it 30 times. Let's get them to 40, 41, 42. I saw we were at 36 this past week. We plugged it a couple times. Now we got 3 more subs. They have more content, more shows coming. So that's why you need to be notified. You're going to see some great shows, great things. Kevin from Ring Crew is here 2 weeks from Thursday. Very excited about that. Tommy Horror is back on Sportswire sometime next month. Timothy Titan will be here in his regular spot because we got to recap. The revolution will be YouTube, but this revolution will be more than YouTube. This is going to be a generational movement ahead, and I'm very excited about the future. And please support those who support us. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or discuss here before we get to closing thoughts?
No, I think once again you have done an absolute amazing job with your research and covered just about.
I didn't do any research. I've talked about it the last. What research?
Yeah, you're just paying attention. You're just paying attention, I guess. Yeah.
No,
you got everything on my list.
No. First of all, coming here, it's like other shows where let me know. I love all the podcasts; they're all great. But I've talked about this like the whole last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Courtney, spoke about this big money, spoke about this with Godric. I spoke about it when I think Kevin was here in the chat. Tommy was here. Certainly. So, I spoke about this like the last 3 weeks. I've had other guys.
I didn't mean do your research. I'm sorry. I meant, as always, you proved you're paying attention.
Oh, well, I'll be honest with you. My eyes are I'm really tired. Like the last 5 days, I'm on 13 hours sleep. So that, from that standpoint, I will give you that. Yeah, well, it's just one of those things.
How are you going to find time to coach a basketball team then?
Well, I figured that we could do the shows from the basketball team. So this was my plan. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. This would be my plan to coach the basketball team. I'll do Sportswire. Now, since the job requires that you have to work at the school full time, I now can move the Sportswire studios to the fancy offices there in the John Jay College facilities. So it's good. We could go out there, practice at 7. We'll have we'll have videotape. We'll do a segment an hour or two. We'll get you or somebody else. We'll get Laura. We'll get McMoney, Courtney, who knows, whoever else. And we'll do that segment. And then we'll go back. We'll watch the tape. We'll have another practice. I'll take a nap for an hour or two. And then since I can be at the building full time, I figured, well, maybe I could get a bed, and sleep in the building. That way I don't have to go anywhere. They got showers. That's it. It's over. So I would be my plan. I figured. Listen, I mean, they're not going to get anybody else for the job that has as many followers as I have or my resume of experience. And I've actually interviewed these players before. I know the job. So ultimately, I don't know if they'll get the job. But to answer your question, I actually had thought about this. And I knew somebody would ask me, well, how are you going to do Sportswire and coach a basketball team at the same time? And my answer was obviously, well, I would just do the shows.
That makes perfect sense now that you say it. Yep.
And they've got like a really fancy setup at you can't see it on the TV, but like they have like it's not an upper deck, but it's like a medium ground, like almost like a mid-tier section where they put like the broadcasting booth. I'll just do it there. It's already done. And I've been there already. I've been there physically in the gym. So I know exactly where I would do the shows. So that's my answer. So we'll continue our daily shows. We'll coach the basketball team, and then I'll probably drop dead in like 2 years. But it was a great run. It was great knowing everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I guess, huh?
Well, you know what? I offered him a pay. Now Mr. McMoney can say what he wants. Mr. Horror can say what he wants. But you are the owner of Money Mark Media, but I am actually going to take a pay cut for this job. So I think that will give me the upper hand because I have the resources to afford.
Project.
Yeah, I will take the pay cut here. But let me get to a few more comments before we go. Yes, congratulations to Money Mark Media. Happy Money Mark Media Day. When are you getting AEW, WWE wrestlers? Like they grow on trees. I mean, you'll have to find out like anybody else. I mean, let's get our wrestlers from Excel, Express Wrestling on first, LAW, IMF, all the other companies. Let them come on first.
We got a long the AEW and the WWE guys get enough interviews.
I mean, I tell you, I'm gonna let a secret in. I like to do them organically. We don't pay, and I'm not knocking anybody. People pay to have like wrestlers on their podcast, and I'm sure it gives them views, but everything that we've done on here is organic. That's why Sportswire is such a special place for so many people because we don't do things. I don't do the shows with like I gotta know a book report. I do it because we love our companies, we love our wrestlers. We do it because we want to do it, and those wrestlers that we were fortunate to have on here, Rhino, Mr. Vega, and Mr. Gary Wolf, they wanted to be here. So we didn't pay for those interviews. We didn't beg them to come on. We don't do that. There are podcasters, and I take nothing away from that. They need WWE wrestlers on their platform for content reasons, maybe to increase their engagements. I don't do that. I don't need to do that because I got my Money Mark Medias, my Indie Vision podcast, my Express, Excel, my DBW, my IMF, my ROEW, my LAW, all my great companies that are on here. So I got them. So if they want to come on, I'll bring them on. But I'm not on the business of begging people, oh, pretty please, can you come on? I'll give you $250. I'm just not going to do that. And again, that's a business. If Just Incredible charges one guy to do a podcast or Rikishi charges or, anybody else, I take nothing away from that. It's a business. I'm a businessman. I've been fortunate, to do things. I like to do things. I shouldn't be doing newspapers, but I like to be outside. But, that's how I do things. But, we'll see, though. I promise you that we'll do them, but we'll do them when the time is right and when they want to be here. But I promise you they'll want to be here because we've already had them on. But I'm so happy that Timothy Titan came on here instead. And I want to pass the baton to you tonight because we have spoke plenty. Let me give you some closing thoughts. Let me put that link up here one more time for Eventbrite. And the floor is yours, my friend. Take it away.
This Friday, the 13th of June, come see KJ Orso versus Dave Jameson, Soul Taker versus Godric Sandwell, Pepper Pride versus Dan Lasers, Freddie versus Jason, Brohemoth versus Jace Carr, Dakota. I mean, I could keep going, but I don't feel.
El Shaddai defending another company's championship on the Money Mark Media show. I mean, we talked about Brohemoth and Jace Carr in a hardcore match. I mean, we talked about Godric Sandwell and this guy, the Soul Taker. Yeah, I mean, we Pepper Pride and Hype Man Dan Lasers. Hopefully, don't believe the hype, and he shows up and he's A-okay to wrestle. I mean, there's so.
He's assured me he's good. He's assured me.
Well, I'll talk to Chris Phoenix about it Saturday night because he's on Sportswire, so Chris Phoenix will probably know what happened.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If anybody would know what happened to Dan Lasers, it's Chris Phoenix.
We better, because we better have something to talk about on Saturday's show, because we didn't have that much to talk about otherwise. But no, we do have something to talk about. But the WVWF and certainly other places, LAW. But yeah, no, I'm sure he'll be ready. I'm sure he'll do just fine. It's for an Indie Division Championship. It's Pepper Pride's first title defense. I mean, Freddie versus Jason, one of the most iconic matches in history. I mean, just that's one for the ages, right? And that's a summer blockbuster match in itself. And what genius is to put a match together during summer blockbuster season?
That movie made how many millions of dollars? You only got to pay $15 to see it in the Come on.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. That's why you're the businessman. And yeah, one more time, go out there, please, please, please support Money Mark Media. Buy a ticket. And you're not just buying it for Timothy Titan. You're buying it for all the wrestlers to support them. And this is where wrestling lives. I can't stress enough the importance of independent wrestling. All wrestling matters. And this is where wrestling to me really lives. Yes, people love AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, MLW, Ring of Honor. I know that's the goal for people ultimately, and I get it. But for me, my goal is to be with the independent wrestlers, to be with the independent wrestling company. This is where it's real, and this is where wrestling lives. And he is here, and I give it to him because he's also on that card.
Oh, he's late.
Daniel Tafu! He got it in, and we spoke a little bit about him, about Andrew Lovelace and Max Hammer, and it's definitely going to be Hammer time, and we'll see if maybe Max Hammer goes bankrupt in the ring against Daniel Tafu. We don't mean in his money, but in his match, but we'll have to see. And hello, and yes, please buy a ticket, and I can't stress enough. And also, one more time, it is Money Mark Media Day here on all Sportswire radio platforms. We will give you the certificate. Yes. And also, I knew people were here for this. Better late than never. Yeah, you know what? We always appreciate anybody here just for a second. And you should be just as late Friday if you know what's good for you, Hawk Tua. I don't think on my bingo card, Hawk Tua and Daniel Tafu would be in the same sentence, but 2025 has been an interesting year. Let's just put it that way. It's, there's California's burning literally. California's burning literally. There's tariffs out there. There's hammers and tafuas and red lights and, all the things out there. But there you go. And yes, thank you, obviously, everybody for tuning in. I will be here tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time with this guy. Not quite a hammer, but he does swing a pretty good axe of a guitar. Mark Farner, the guitarist of the legendary band Grand Funk Railroad, only had 5 top 10 hits, 30 million albums sold, and he'll be here to talk about his journey. And my friend, thank you so much for all that you do for our sport. I am so excited about Friday. I can't wait to talk a little bit about it with you afterwards. And thank you for all you do for our sport. I look forward to the Indie Division podcast coming up as well, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me again.
You got it. And I'm going to let him say it because the night, I'll be early to your maxi pad. I haven't heard that one either in a while because the red door is open. He's free. Daniel Tafu always has the red lights on. So definitely that wouldn't be that. And thank you everybody for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music and wrestling matters. Please support Timothy Titan, Money Mark Media. Follow them on Facebook, the Indie Division Wrestling Podcast. Follow them on Facebook, YouTube, Indie Division Podcast. Please check them out. Also, I can't stress enough the importance of that. Express Wrestling support on Facebook. Support LAW. Support all of our great wrestling companies. I'll be here 10 o'clock tomorrow. Hit the sub button for us. Like, share, follow, and subscribe to us. And go to eventbrite.com. Buy a ticket. I'm doing that in about 15 minutes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio, that is Sportswire Radio, where all music and wrestling matters. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.